Thank you. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the November 13th CTECS board meeting. Like to call the meeting to order at 10:03 on behalf of our interim chair. The governor's team has appointed Jeff Ocker as an interim. As you all know, as we mentioned at our last meeting, our former chair took a job at Central Connecticut State University, and so I had to step down. Karen, we're going to mute you because we're getting your background. Anyway, Jeff was going to try to join us, but if he does, I'll switch off and let him chair, but otherwise I'll just keep us moving. So Ronki, could you please take attendance?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Birch? Thanks for the thumbs up.
Sorry.
Thank you. Dr. Valeries? Mr. Norton?
Here.
Mr. Hall?
Present.
Mr. Gilday?
Present.
Ms. Feeney? Mr. Coiney? Mr. Birch?
Present.
Mr. Ocker? Right, we do have quorum.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next agenda item is public participation. We didn't have anyone indicate that they wanted to speak today, but again, I want to thank our union partners for joining us today. Great to have your engagement and support, and I hope you'll do the same when we're on site as well. So we can then move to the approval of the minutes from our October 9th meeting.
Moved.
Okay, I was going to say, could I get a motion? Is there a second?
A second.
Karen, thank you so much. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, I'd take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? I could tell Keith is waiting to abstain. So Keith is abstaining, I'm assuming because you weren't in attendance. So
Absolutely.
thanks,
correct.
Keith. Glad to have you back. Okay. So the motion carries. Thank you all very, very much. I want to move to our next, to today's presentation. As you all know, we're trying to make sure that the board has good information about what we're up to, but also keeping our meetings kind of tight. So we're only going to have one big presentation today. We've asked Patty King, Dr. King, if she would join us to provide an overview on where we are with admissions. And we're about to kick off the process for the next year. So it's good that we're talking today about the current year. So Dr. King, if you would please, I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for having me today. As Dr. Pritchett just mentioned, we are starting our new cycle for next year's freshmen. And I'll go over some dates with you in a little bit, but it's been a busy week making sure we're in line and ready to go. So let me share my screen with you. And I want to talk a little bit about where we've been for this last, I call them cycles, those last admission cycles, which is our current 9th graders at this point. I just want to verify you can see my screen. Everything looks good? Beautiful. Okay. So let me just get myself all set here. Okay. So as I just mentioned, the purpose of me sharing this with you today is really to talk about what we've done, where we're going, and what we can expect moving forward. So here we go. And beautiful. Changed? Everything looks good? Okay. I can't see my screen, so just let me know if something doesn't move.
Will do. Thanks, Patty.
Thank you. Okay. So again, I want to talk a little bit about the goals of our CTECS student admission process. And it really goes beyond just placing students in schools. We really focus on ensuring that every student in Connecticut who wants a technical education has a fair opportunity to access it. And that's really my goal as I'm working throughout the entire year with admissions. We want to definitely make sure that we want to maximize our enrollment. We aim to fully utilize the capacity of all of our high schools across the state so that as many students as possible can benefit from the hands-on career-focused education. We'd like to promote equitable access The way we structure our admissions is to provide equitable opportunities for all students, regardless of background or prior academic experiences, and who show an interest in exploring a technical career pathway. And that is definitely a mind shift for many, but it's really trying to make sure that the way we select students, and I say select in a broad sense, the way that students are offered the opportunity to come into our school has been a lot of all of the subjectivity has been taken out so that all of the students have equal access. And then, of course, to support career-focused education is our fourth goal, and we really are putting an emphasis, as always, as preparing students for real-world employment, apprentices, or further education aligned with the state's workforce needs. We want to ensure that our students are supported, so we really do place emphasis on inclusivity by ensuring that students with disabilities and multilingual learners have the supports that they need to thrive academically in their chosen trade. And then finally, all of this is handled through a centralized lottery system, which we've been using. Now, this will be truly be our first full year of utilizing a centralized lottery. Last year was really our pilot year, even though that it was instituted across the state. So we want to look at our admissions through this transparent centralized lottery system that ensures fairness and equity opportunity for all of the students who apply across Connecticut for our programs. Now, just to look at this a little bit as a overall summary of who is currently in our schools. Here, this slide is giving you an overview of the data that is collected and provided to the state of Connecticut on October 1st from our district. Every single district across the state of Connecticut provides the information on their enrollment as of October 1st. And so these were our numbers at that time. There's a little bit of fluctuation, but we're pretty stable at this point in time. So right now, our overall summary is across all 4 grades, we have 11,706 students. Average would be about 650 students per school. And here we're looking at 18 schools. I've included Bristol Tech in there. Even though Bristol Tech has only 11th and 12th graders, we still factor that in as well. And you'll notice across we have the NA for 9th and 10th grade. We typically have about a decline rate. And what I mean by that is from students, the cohort who enters in 9th grade, and by the time they leave us in 12th grade, we typically have about an 18.5% decline rate. And we have some plans and some goals within our department to look at that more closely and to see why we're seeing that slide a little bit. But my goal is to make sure that we are filling that 9th grade, and then also that as we're looking at the 10th grade year, we do have opportunity to backfill some of our trades with students who are still interested in attending. So that's really been my goal as we're looking forward. Okay, let's take a look at how Connecticut Technical Education Career System manages its admission process. And I'm sure you probably get many questions on this one. So in a little bit, I'll be happy to take any questions that you have about what we're doing or why we're doing it. So first and foremost, CTECS is part of the Connecticut statewide public school choice program. And this gives students across the state of Connecticut access to our technical high school programs. Notice that we are a public school district, and that's key as to why we are doing many of the things we are doing. We fall under the same responsibilities as other public school districts across the state when it comes to allowing students to attend, to apply, and to be part of our process. We want to make sure, just to kind of reiterate that, we want to just make sure that it's fair, it's consistent, and compliant with both our state and our federal guidelines. The second part to this is oversight in the implementation. The process is managed collaboratively by me, the district director of admissions, with each of our schools' counseling department heads. This structure helps keep both the district level consistency and the local level support. So when we say centralized, everything comes into the centralized office, the central office through my my folks, which is me, comes through this office, and there it allows me then to process, to set up the applications, to set up the screenings, which means strictly are the applications complete, and then run the lottery, which will take place at the end of January. Get more into that in just a little bit. So beginning with our current ninth grade, so 25-26 school year, we transitioned to this lottery-based system. This change was made to improve our equity, transparency, and access for all of our applicants. Previously, admissions considered factors like a graded interest statement, a graded attendance, and counselor recommendations. But what we found is that this data showed that it unintentionally limited the access for some historically underserved communities. So we had 3 grades, if you will, one for attendance, one for a statement, a written statement, and then one was from the middle school counselors were asked to fill out a survey which utilized a Likert scale to rate the students on their ability to work in teams, to how hard they worked, and so on and so forth. And that led us to some inconsistencies because some schools were utilizing that that questionnaire to the letter of the I won't say the law, but to the letter of how it was intended. And others were saying, I don't want to be responsible for keeping a kid out of school. So you can see that the grades were varying. So now we have eliminated all of that subjectivity so that we are ensuring that every applicant has an equal chance of being selected into our schools. So, while we are looking at academic readiness and grade level promotion are still reviewed for eligibility, admissions are no longer determined by academic ranking. So in short, every student who applies and meets the basic criteria has the same opportunities to attend CTECS schools as any other student that they're in the same pool with. So this is the number that we're always talking about, is the number of applications which we receive, and then the number of enrollments which we are actually able to accept. So here you can see this is just a snapshot of where we were after the first and second rounds of admissions last year. We received over 10,000 applications, and that was including all of our schools, including our Hartford region schools. And with that, we had 3,485 seats that were available. So with that, we were able to place at the end of this particular time frame, we had 3,474 students who were placed at this time of the snapshot. Since then, we have, again, as I said, we move students around. We try to backfill and bring students in so that we do have our seats that are full, but we do have students that decline the offers, that decide to go to a different school. But either way, we still have over 7,000 students who are still waitlisted, and we're not able to get a seat at our schools. Our wait lists expire as of October 1st, as I mentioned earlier, the date that we report to the state of Connecticut, how many students we have enrolled. So that is the last day we pull students off of our wait lists. Okay. All right, breaking this down, looking at it by each of our schools, you'll see here that it shows that where our demand was the highest and where we still had room, and where we still have room due to declined offers. This data helps us manage the outreach, and this supports our students with the heaviest wait lists. So the green, the blue is our wait list, where the green was the number of applications that we received. And you see that our larger schools are schools that are more in our urban districts. You can see that our applications were at its highest point. And with each of our schools having a limited capacity to bring in ninth graders, our wait list remained high, very, very high. So one question I generally get on this slide is, can families see this specific data? We don't share this data publicly because it gets very, the discussion gets very muddied at some points in time, but we primarily utilize this so that we understand where we are internally as far as what our numbers look like. So sharing this with you, so as our advisors, seeing where our demands are for our schools. So one question that I get often, and I'm sure you hear this as well, is, so why did we move to this lottery? What was our driver behind changing the system that many folks thought had been working? But behind the scenes, we saw that there were some areas to tweak and areas to improve on. It really comes down to the word of equity. Our lottery system gives every student an equal opportunity to attend CTECS, no matter where they live, what school they're coming from, or what their academic background might be. We wanted to ensure that all students, including those who may not have had access to the same supports or resources in the past, have a fair shot at these life-changing opportunities that our school district offers. As I mentioned earlier, it eliminates subjectivity. Under the old process, submissions were based on the written essay, attendance, and recommendations. And then there was even another layer in there, which was the discipline history, which was taken into account if a student, if the student's records showed that there may have been some problems. And as you can tell, that's going to change greatly depending upon the student's environment, the student's backgrounds, and so forth. So in this new lottery system, it removes all that subjectivity and levels out the playing field by using a randomized process for the selection. And I wanted to stress that people will say, well, how does a lottery work? We utilize a computer-based system that we have as part of our application system, and the computer randomly selects students and places them into schools where we have the openings. This process also aligns with the state guidance, which we have. It brings in line with state expectations and evolving guidance around admissions practices. Many public schools and our magnet programs in Connecticut are moving toward lottery systems, if they haven't already, to ensure greater transparency and fairness across the board. And then, of course, it lastly improves clarity for families. We've heard from many families over the years that the admission process felt very unclear or confusing. The lottery system simplifies this. It's easy to understand, apply, and meet the basic eligibility, and wait for the lottery results. And it removes uncertainty about how decisions are made. So here, there's two requirements. One is they fill out the application in full and submit it. And within that submitting is they have a written statement or a video that they include, which is not graded, but it is part of the requirement. And I do review them. I don't grade them, but I do review them to see that the application has been completed and that it meets our requirements. So again, how does that process work? First, students submit their application. And as I said, to be eligible, they must be applying for 9th grade and include their student information statement, which is either the video or the written. I do not need any materials like transcripts or recommendations. They are not required at all. After the eligibility or the submission has been completed, all participants who are eligible are entered into the state-approved randomized lottery system. And when I say eligible applicants, the lottery is going to be run at the end of January. So students who submit their applications by January 25th are eligible to participate in our lottery. There is a little caveat to that, is that some of our students may receive a priority. For example, if they have a student who is currently enrolled in the school which they are applying to, or if they have a parent that lives in the same household who is working in that preferred school, they are giving a slight priority. And this is for the sake of convenience. I'm sure some of you may have students or children who have attended different schools, and it made it difficult to get to open houses and to teacher nights and whatever other sporting events. So our goal here is to help with convenience so that parents are able to get to one school for students that are already enrolled. And of course, if a parent works there, for transportation purposes as well. Those not selected in that initial draw are placed in a wait list in the order that is drawn by the system. So our system draws, say we have those 7,000, I'll use round numbers, I'll use 500 as an example. So, the lottery, we have 500 seats open, but we have 600, I think I got my numbers wrong there, 5,000 applications with 6,000 available. So when it runs the lottery, it will automatically fill those first 5,000, one all the way through 5,000, and then it will continue sorting the rest of the applications that we've received, the rest 1,000 applications. So the next one will be 5,001, 5,002, and that's how the wait list is then built. So the applications are sorted from top to bottom, and then there's that cutoff as to how many the school can hold. And from there, as we have students after they've been offered decline their initial placement or decline our offer, we then go into the wait list sequentially and pull students up to the top. So again, our process has 4 steps: the eligibility, the random selection, the considerations of the priorities, and then the wait list creations. I will get questions many times is if students do not respond, because we do have that, students who don't reply to our initial offer, we work very hard to contact them, but if we're not able to get to them, we will begin then pulling to fill those seats. We tried our best to make sure that any student who's offered a position is able to accept that position. However, we do have to look at operating the district and filling our seats as we go. And next slide, there we go. So as we're looking at our admission dates this year, as I said, our admissions portal is expected to open this weekend on Saturday. And I say our admissions portal on our district website, there's a tab, which is our admissions tab. On there, we have our portal, so the link into our application system that families can use. Also on that website, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look at that at all, but we've been working very hard over the past year to make sure that the website contains any information that a family may have in regards to the application process, the selection process, the waitlist process, so that families can have their questions answered. Again, trying to be transparent in our process so that parents have that information. Another date is December 3rd. 3 of our schools, which are considered our Hartford Region schools, our RESCO schools, they are actually in a separate lottery that is run through the Regional School Choice Office in Hartford. So that would be Cheney Tech, Prince Tech, and Goodwin Tech. So those 3 schools have a separate lottery. They are not part of our CTECS lottery. So their applications opens at a separate time, but they utilize the same processes that we do as far as wait lists and so forth go on. You'll see January 25th is the final day for students who are interested in being part of that lottery consideration. My goal this year is to make sure that we notify students by February 1st of their placement or their wait list status. And that is, I should make that date. I'm 99.9% confident that that date will be met. And then we could start getting students ready to be enrolled for the following fall. And I won't go down to all of the dates, but then February 6th, the application closes. And everything on here is on our website. So again, if folks have questions, it's there for them to take a look at. And then last but not least, as I just mentioned, we do have our website that we have really been working to make sure that all of our commonly asked questions, all of our information is there. And we also have a standalone admissions website in the Office of Admissions so that folks have their questions, they can direct it to that location.
Great. Thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you.
And there are questions. So board
Of
members with
course.
questions. Why don't we start with Todd and then Jim and then Jeff? I'm happy to turn this over to you if
Yeah.
you'd like. Go ahead.
Yeah, my apologies. Taking a couple of days off, and I just discovered some. So it was my birthday yesterday, and my
Oh, happy
kids
birthday.
showed up. Thank you. Last night and this morning as a surprise, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. So I'm losing track of the time. Well, I just found out the reason they're all coming back is one of my sons has an engagement ring with him. So let's just say the buzz around here has nothing to do with me. So my apologies on my first one. I was like, guys, I gotta get upstairs. So they're gonna take care of themselves for the next couple of days. So I'll be better next time. So so thank you, Dr. King. So the questions, Todd, you want to start us off?
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Yeah, through you to Dr. King, I have a question for you with regard to Bristol Tech. Your applications are opening on November 15th. These are for comprehensive high schools that are current sophomores that I want to, as juniors and seniors. What is the two questions? What is the area demographic for that particular school? And also, are all the applicants in a lottery system specifically for that school for those comprehensive high schools?
So excellent question. So Bristol Tech, we utilize a separate application system for Bristol Tech because, as you mentioned, they are 11th and 12th graders coming from their local sending districts. So with that, they will also have their applications open on November 15th just for Bristol Tech. So thank you for pointing that out. So we do actually have 3 applications, 3 lotteries. So students will have the opportunity then to 11th and 12th graders apply to Bristol Tech. As far as the demographics go, it really is dependent upon their sending district and their willingness to transport. That's really where our biggest hurdle comes in, because we will accept students as long as they have transportation and we have openings in the trades that they're interested in. Bristol Tech is a little different because we are strictly looking at where we have looking at the trades that are able to accept students. Many of them are 1-year programs, many of them are 2-year programs. So depending upon it, there's a lot of variations, and I couldn't even begin to start going through all of them right now. However, we do have little mini lotteries, if you will, within each of those areas and each of those trades, so that all of the students that apply do have equal opportunity.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Hi, Dr. King.
Hi.
Yeah, sorry.
I just had 2 brief questions, I think. One is, of the 3,485 students who offers get extended to, I'm not going to hold you to an exact percentage, but approximately how many decline of the 3,485?
Okay, that's a great question. So I'm looking at about a third or so. It depends on the school. Like a school like Bullard Haven, and if you notice, and I know the slides are in your packet, we have quite a few declines from Bullard Haven, so we're able to pull more from that list. Then I have other schools like Abbott who have very few declines. So it really is dependent upon the school, and because there are some histories in there, you could see a trend. So I can't give you a definitive,
That's fair.
but it's really based on the school and also where they're located in many cases.
And you're right. And sometimes I speak to Evan O'Brien, that's one closest to me. You can see how the offer and the acceptance are pretty close. Thank you. My other second question, if I could, just with regards to discipline, being chair of a public school board, we just last week we expelled 2 8th grade students. And my question centers around usually that expulsion and it was a full 180 days, that usually transfers to each school district. How are expulsions, are they even taken into account in the application process?
So in the application process, no. So as I said earlier, all students across the state have an equal access. So students who have had, in your example, have been expelled, whether it's during the process or after the process, I have no way, we have no way of knowing that unless the district discloses that to us. Many times the family will disclose that to us. And so what we then do, because the student has been offered a position, has been offered a seat. So we then through our, we have a process through working with our legal folks here, is also with our superintendent, where the superintendent will look at the outcome of the district's decisions, and then there'll be a hearing with the student here at CTECS, and a decision will be made whether to uphold the expulsion with limitations or whatever it might be, or the caveat of holding it out to the end. I'm losing my words today. I apologize. With keeping the expulsion intact, or by giving it, working with an agreement that they can make to with that student.
So in effect, because again, the student would have already had a manifestation hearing, so I assume
Thank you.
what it
Yes.
sounds like is that you in essence hold a hearing on it as whether or not to uphold that. I get it, and I answered my question perfectly. Thank you very much.
Okay. Even though I was kind of rambling there, I apologize
No,
about that.
I get it. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Superintendent Crocker, do you have something to add
Oh,
addition?
there he is. Probably wants to add some. Oh, no, I didn't even see him there.
Yeah.
One second. Yeah, we hold a hearing just to see that the expellable offense in the sending district would be an expellable offense in our district. And we always work to do what's in the best interests of the student. A lot of times sending districts will put together a stipulated agreement for students. They can come back after. So we work with the sending district to kind of see what we have at CTECS, see if the policy that was broken there is the same policy that's broken here, and then we go from there. They're not excluded from the school though. They have the opportunity to pick up where they left off with us at CTECS if they get in.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Any other questions for Dr. King?
Yeah,
Mr.
I
Hall?
want, I'm a little wobbly on my understanding of the two separate portals, one for regional choice and one for the rest. Can you just kind of go through that and clearly explain why there's two separate ones?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
So we do have two separate portals because there's two separate lotteries, two totally separate lotteries. So our three schools, our three regional schools, are part of the Hartford School Choice, which was, I think we've been in there since 2018 or so, just those three schools. And just those three schools are part of RESCO. They have their own lotteries. So with all of the magnet schools in Hartford and CREC, and it's really comes down to being almost a CREC lottery. So because those schools are only accepting students from that region, they hold their own lottery. So we have ours as separate. So the remaining schools that we have, we utilize a lottery system just for those schools. Does that make sense to you? I know it's kind of wonky, but it really has to do with where the students are coming from or how they're applying to it. So there's two different applications.
And Keith
Okay.
may want to jump in as well.
Thank you, Ellis. And so the Regional School Choice Office basically serves the greater Hartford area as a result of the Sheff versus O'Neill case and subsequent settlements, the last just coming a few years ago. The students in the greater Hartford area are offered integrated school settings in the form of magnet schools that are run by Hartford Public Schools, Goodwin University, CREC, and a few local districts. They're also offered opportunities through the Open Choice program in over 40 different suburban school districts and the 3 technical high schools in the Hartford area as well. So students that are applying through RESCO for a choice opportunity are given the opportunity to select schools as part of their application, which could be any combination. They're allowed multiple choices. And again, we then run our lottery, and where the student gets in, they're offered a placement that most often is accepted sometimes. But they're the three technical high schools in the greater Hartford area are part of that school choice option that is offered to Hartford students and the suburban students as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And last question, is there a percentage of enrollment increased by being part of the Hartford group versus, say, if you're Wyndham?
No, I believe not.
Okay.
No, because it's based on the seats available.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think I just want to take a moment to congratulate our executive director and our admissions team on the very successful implementation of this new lottery system. It really, the focus is to maximize opportunities for all of Connecticut students and afford them the great opportunity to be part of the CTECS system and to really get what I believe is a world-class education. And it's doing it through a process that is fair and equitable without question. So very well done and a big congratulations.
Thank you, Keith.
Any other questions on this subject? All right, much appreciated. A lot of detail there, and the subtleties here are where what matters. So appreciate it. I think now we're ready to move on to the report from the executive director.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to try to be brief today too, but I did want to give you a couple of updates that are, some of which I highlighted when we met last month, but I run through them again. So our executive team continues to spend a lot of time bringing new processes and procedures to schools and to central office. There's significant work to do at CTECS in to get us in line with state agency guidelines and expectations related to everything from human resources and fiscal to legal, labor relations, and EEO. And so just a lot of work. It's not glamorous, but I'm deeply indebted to the teams that are working to try to stabilize and clean up this important work. So getting in line there, and again, appreciate everybody who's helping us do that. We meet regularly. I just met this morning with the Office of Policy and Management and with the governor's office to, again, make sure that we're making progress. And on the whole, I think they're pleased with where we are and the work that's happening here. We're also meeting at central office on a very regular basis on a whole array of topics to, again, address concerns as they come up. We'd like to be more proactive than reactive, but I'm still hoping for that slowdown that allows us to shift gears. But again, a great team at central office helping to do that work as well. And we're also meeting very regularly with the principals and assistant principals. We established last year an administrative update meeting where we give them updates on all those areas and try to get new policies and procedures in front of them. Also solicit their feedback on how it's going, and they're very open about some of those challenges. So appreciate their time and energy because, again, it takes them away from the important tasks that they have to do at the school level to tell us how they're faring on the administrative side. As I did at the beginning, again, want to thank our labor colleagues. We meet bi-weekly with both the Administrators Union, AFSA, and with SVFT, and also have started quarterly meetings with our colleagues at CEUI and with 1199 to make sure that we are in good communication, addressing issues as they come up. And that ranges from everything of school-based issues to hiring and also labor relations matters. So again, appreciate that partnership. We're also deep in the bargaining work, and we specifically bargain by ourselves with SVFT and AFSA, but we are also at the table with the other unions as part of the larger CBAC coalition, and so that work's been in full force for much of the fall. So that's kind of the administrative side of things. On the budget side, again, we meet with OPM every 2 weeks to check on things, and we provide them with monthly projections of how we're doing on our personal services as well as our operating expenses. We've this year instituted some financial constraints on spending, trying to get our house in order. trying to do that without greatly impacting services. I know there's always a debate about whether that's true, but we are trying to live a bit more closely to our means, as we've had to go to a deficiency hearing last year, as you'll remember, and in the past as well. So trying to get a better sense of what it really means to operate this system and what the resources are that are necessary. One of the things that we're doing to showcase our schools is having legislative visits in December and January. We're doing 4 kind of regionally specific invites, and we've invited all legislators to just come see the schools, hear about the opportunities there. We're not using it as a a way to raise all of our challenges, but actually more so our opportunities. One of the things that I would observe is that many legislators have never been to one of our schools before. They don't know how we're different from a comprehensive high school. And so just very important for us for them to see how resources are used differently at our schools than they may be at a comprehensive high school. So I've been also taking administrators. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to take the budget analysts from the Office of Policy and Management to visit a school. And again, they got to see how resources are deployed differently in our system than they might see in a traditional high school. So just showcasing so that everyone around us can be ambassadors for this critical system. And then I just want to give you a couple of updates, which I did share with you last month, some of the business and industry work that we're doing. And since we have a committee, I wanted to make sure to tell you all about some of that work. Excited to report that we've, as I did last month, that we have kind of rebooted a relationship with Pratt & Whitney. There had been some early conversations several years ago that didn't get to an implementation stage. So we're trying again to do that. So we've had an opportunity for a team to go and visit the Middletown facility of Pratt & Whitney, and then to have Pratt & Whitney folks come and visit Vinyl Tech, where they're very interested in partnering, and also to see our Aero program at Brainerd Airport, where again, some of our students can find their way to Pratt & Whitney. So we're hopeful that this is going to rekindle conversations and get them thinking about how they can hire our graduates for sure, but also how they can dig deeper into the pipeline of students that are available to them in their junior and senior years through work-based learning, but also through visits and presentations, et cetera, at the 9th and 10th grade levels as well. So trying to get that restarted and feeling like we're in a good spot to start that again. We have a very strong relationship with Electric Boat. As you all have heard before, they hire a lot of our graduates, which is very exciting. But we're also getting a push from them to expand the schools that are engaged. And so we're starting conversations about having them expand to CTECS in Manchester, and to take advantage of the welding training that's happening there. So that we hope will be a partnership with Connecticut State Three Rivers College and CTECS come this spring to start to increase the output of welding students available to Electric Boat. We have had a ongoing relationship with Hartford Healthcare as well, but we're again rebooting a very particular relationship for them in Wyndham. Wyndham Hospital and Wyndham Tech are within shouting distance of one another. And so we're trying to deepen the relationship there and make sure that students know about the opportunities available. We just had a tour with a few colleagues from Hartford Healthcare last week at Wyndham Tech, and they were able to see our criminal justice program where we're doing EMT work in particular, but also to see our clinical program where we're doing CNA, EKG, and phlebotomy work. And so hopeful that that relationship will pick back up again as well. And then just 2 other things. We are in conversations with the NAACP of Connecticut. They're very interested in partnering with our adult ed programs to provide training to those who have been justice involved or justice impacted. And we're hoping to identify some resources that can help us to pilot some training programs, potentially in the licensed trades for that population. So eager to get that work started, and we'll report back on that. And then just lastly, I know state agencies are in a tough spot with the state budget as well, but we've been having good conversations with the Department of Developmental Services and 3 of our high schools who are interested in partnering with their health tech programs, and to offer in the senior year an opportunity for individuals or students to explore working with those who have intellectual disabilities. So Wilcox and Abbott Tech and Whitney Tech are partnering with a local nonprofit that provides those services to that community to talk about how they can provide that kind of information to students about those career opportunities. And so, again, a lot of connecting the dots, making sure that CTECS is well positioned with business and industry expansion. And so that's some of the work that's been happening in that area. There's lots more to report. But I'll stop there, and I'd like to ask Mike Crocker, our superintendent, if he would share some of what he has been up to and has been seeing, and then maybe the two of us can take questions before we close, if that's okay.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Pritchard. So when I was a kid, I used to play this game, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? And I feel like my life right now is where in Connecticut is Mike Rocco? So I've been going out to all of the schools, or 17 schools, as you know, 18, with Bristol Tech, and getting out and just talking to school leaders, teachers, students. The student conversations are fantastic. Staff, certified staff, and just getting a sense of what are the great things that are going on at CTECS, what are the where are the pressure points, where are the areas where we need to improve, and then any advice that they have for me as the superintendent. Today I'm at Wilcott Tech. And so far, I've met with a bunch of teachers and some support staff. I'm getting ready to go meet with a bunch of students and do some classroom visits. One of the things that I'm realizing, Dr. Pritchard talks about legislators don't even know or have never been into our schools. I don't think educators in general around Connecticut know what's going on at CTECS. I think we have to tell our story to the state in a way that really shows the great work that we're doing with kids, getting kids into industry, getting kids into college, looking at all of the different programming that's here to do for two reasons. One, to attract more talent to CTECS, and also to just start to tell our story in a little bit of a different way. We're in the midst right now of, so one of the things that we identified early on, especially moving towards the lottery, is that special education is an area where we would need some attention. What I'm finding when I go out is that the numbers are relatively steady. So the number of special education students coming into CTECS is pretty similar year to year. Last year we were at 16.6%. This year we're at 17%. So it's not necessarily the numbers that we need to concentrate on. It's more so the continuum of services that we are able to provide, and the different issues that are coming to us. Students, if you go across any high school in Connecticut, you'll hear about different. There's more needs, mental health needs. There's more different things are manifesting themselves into different behaviors. One of the things that's different outside of CTECS that's in here is that we have to create that continuum of services over time, and put that infrastructure in place so that we can meet the needs of all of the students that are coming to us. Part of that process is we posted for an assistant superintendent for pupil services. We are in the midst of screening out candidates right now. We had, I believe, 60 people apply for the position. We're screening down to, I think, 12 or 13. Interviews will start relatively soon, and hopefully we'll have somebody on board coming into the new year. So that and the school visits are taking up a good portion of my time. I think one of the things that the messages that I'm trying to get out there on a regular basis is our job isn't to chase perfection tomorrow. Like we know that there's a lot of challenges. There's also a lot of successes, but it's not about becoming perfect tomorrow. It's about getting better and better every single day. And I think that's what Dr. Pritchard and I are really committed to. When I go out to these schools, a lot of times I'm hearing, this is the first time the superintendent ever came and actually asked me a question. This is the first time. And the students, the first question I ask them is, do you know who I am? And they have all been told who I am. So they're like, yeah, you're the superintendent of schools. And then the second question I ask is, do you know what I do? And all of them are like, absolutely no idea. We have no clue what you do, what your job is, why you're here. So, building those relationships with students, with teachers, with support staff, and really starting and trying to set a foundation of trust is what I'm doing in the beginning stages of my superintendency here. And so far so good. I mean, there are a lot of great things that are going on, and there are a lot of challenges that we have to work on. But the one constant that I'm hearing everywhere is, this is the first time that I'm actually feeling heard. This is the first time that someone is asking me the question. Somebody is asking me what I need, and going from there. So want to build off of that foundation. And this is the easy part of the work. The hard work is to come.
Thank you, Superintendent. Great work. Any questions? Got to have some questions for Dr. Pritchard and Superintendent Krakow.
I do, and if I could, I want to ask Dr. Pritchard, in an era where it sounds like we're doing more to try to live within the means of the budget that we were assigned, I'm just trying to understand if there's any critical programs or critical support systems that, 6 months into the school system that as you kind of struggle to live within the budget that we have not been able to realize or have not been able to implement.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. And I do want to be clear, part of the challenges, we don't think we are resourced kind of at the level we should be, and not, everybody always has a wish list, but we're still trying to kind of refine our needs on a just day-to-day regular basis. And so we're advocating on behalf of kind of rebasing or stabilizing, as well as thinking about what else. So we have a lot of work to do in that area, but we're trying to get to stable and then think about what else do we need. I would say that the primary area we've raised with OPM as a concern is special ed. We certainly have some resources, and we have staff, and we have grants, and we have contract services, and we are trying to address the special education needs of our students. But I think it's unlike a traditional school district that has a significant infrastructure from pre-K in some cases through high school. We haven't built that at CTECS, and the state has not invested in that at CTECS per se. And so that's an area where we know we're going to need to continue to advocate for additional resources, not living within the means, because we do want to make sure that we are meeting those needs that are identified in the IEP, but also, kind of, again, being proactive, not just reactive to students' needs. And so I would say that special ed is a primary area where we're going to need more resources. We have been advocating for some administrative resources. So very excited that we're going to have an assistant superintendent of pupil services. The fact that we were a school and didn't have that for some time was a concern. But there's also areas like, truthfully, are just the maintenance of our buildings. We're hoping very soon to hire a plant facilities engineer who will help to support the building maintenance supervisors at each of our schools, who need more support to keep our buildings, cleaned and serviced and maintained, because the state's invested good money in these schools over time, and we need to make sure that we don't fall behind on those things. And so we've been pushing for refills of custodians and maintenance and those types of things as well, because we know that that's important, and to some degree has been put on the back burner in favor of the very important work of instruction. And so again, just trying to make sure that we've thought about the broad range of needs of the schools, and yes, trying to live within our means, but also trying to make sure that we can do the work that's necessary.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other questions?
If I didn't want to be a hog, if there's not one, if there's
Please
not
do.
any more, guys, that's one follow-up question. As it pertains to special ed, do we, and again, I don't know enough about this system. I know about the public school system. Does the CTECS get either the seed special education money or the excess cost grant?
We get neither. We only get a state allocation for personnel and operating expenses. The money does not, that is one of the legislative things that we're kind of clarifying. If you go to a magnet school, the money follows the students.
Right.
That is not the case at CTECS. So we are, have to rely on our state budget and some federal resources to make that work. So that's one of the kind of peculiarities of our system, and one of the things that we need to continue talking about.
Thank you. That's definitely it. Thank
Yes,
you.
no, that's a great question. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for our leadership team here? All right, I guess that leaves my final chair report here. One item here in your packet, you will see an RSVP for the Bullard Havens ribbon cutting coming up on November 24th. It's at 11 a.m. So if you can get out there for an early lunch, it's a lot of pride going into this school. If you just kind of follow the excitement on the social media and in the press, this is a huge upgrade. It's a point of pride in the community. And to echo something that the superintendent said about his visits out there, I cannot overemphasize the amount of pride each school takes when one of us goes to one of their events. Don't take it as something for you, although you'll get a lot out of it because it just feels so much, but just them feeling heard, them feeling like the attention of the board along with the leadership team is there for what they're doing and the mission they're trying. I cannot overstate how important that is. And if you can get out to any of these events, you will see. And I know a lot of you do, but I just want to emphasize that. A couple other things just to throw in here to add on. Speaking with Ronki and others, as we've been kind of thinking about the path forward, we are an advisory board. And when we meet, we get to do a wonderful job of getting report outs from Dr. Pritchard, from Superintendent Crocco, from the team on from CCATS or CTEC reporting to us. I believe, and I think we all believe, that there is a responsibility we have to provide the advice and the perspective back to the leadership of CTECS, the outside views from students, from social services, but especially as Dr. Pritchard mentioned, that business view. What is working right now, what is changing. It's a massively disrupted job environment for any of the kids graduating for the last couple of years, and it's not going to change for a while. So anything we can do to provide input back to the board. So starting, I believe, on the next call, the next meeting, we're going to add a bit to the agenda where we are going to be presenting some, what we see from board members as it's important for the leadership team to hear. So start thinking about some of those things. What is that perspective you bring? What's changing? How can we kind of keep the thinking looking forward? And then finally, just as a kind of a personal thing, if there are any discussions around AI and how it impacts the job market, how it impacts the trades, not necessarily in the replacing jobs versus not replacing jobs, but if you get into it, most of what people are saying the job impact is you're going to do your job just as it is now, but with AI, right? You don't have to become an AI programmer, you don't have to become expert in it, but how is AI impacting the trades? What kind of tools are available? What does it do to the skills that you develop? And what else might you need? It's a really important perspective moving forward. And in Hartford, we're working on this AI Institute that's going to be focused on workforce development and applied AI. I think the commercial I want to make here is if anybody has any questions, asks, things you would love to see in the system around AI, even if it's just professional development for the teachers so they kind of know what's coming, this is the time to ask. We have some huge interest from Google, from their public sector, and from their education group. They're already in for $13 million to support us. Cisco's coming in, AWS, and AWS is actually very interested in the workforce side, from the trades to manage their warehouses to the AI and the technology that will be helping them move forward. So it's a really good time to jump right now. And if you guys have any questions or anything you want to discuss, please let me know. That's kind of the side project I have for the mayor here in the city. But I'm really surprised and pleasantly surprised at how many of the big players are looking to, I think, non-cynically add some community benefit and workforce angles to all of this crazy AI is going to destroy the world narrative. So I'm happy to take their money. If you'd like some, let me know. We can see what we can do. Any other questions, comments, any subjects for the, before
Jeff, can I just mention, just for everybody's calendars, to make sure you have
Yeah.
December 11th, or that you've looked at the fact that you have December 11th on your calendar at 10 a.m. We'll be visiting Prince Tech for our next meeting. So would love to have many of you in attendance. As Jeff said, the school is very excited to be hosting, and it'll be a wonderful opportunity to see what they're up to there. So just want to make sure you've got your eye on that on the calendar and can try to hold it. But otherwise, no other business for us.
All right. Anyone else? All right. With no further updates or comments, can I get a motion to adjourn today's meeting? Motion received. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? All right. Well, have a great Thanksgiving, everybody, if we don't talk to you. And hopefully we'll see you in a couple of weeks down in Bridgeport. Appreciate y'all showing up. Thanks.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye, everybody.